Warning, warning. Battle convoy now approaching Tanhony Towers. High chance of non-Euclidean topography. No. Please ready your weaponry and await further instructions.
Whoa, I'd seen you in town before. Welcome to episode 30 of Discovering SCP, the only saloon in these parts that has all the SCP brews you could need for your tiny little throat. Oh, don't mind him by the door, that's Westlip Jim, also known as Darnell Jermaine. He's a local gunslinger.
Westlip's Jim, you say?
Yeah.
Well. I find it mighty odd that when you talk, it moves up on my Mac/aux.
What the hell are you talking about, Jim?
I don't reckon I know, but my name is
Discovering
Darnell
SCP,
Jim.
we've got no patience for your fancy smoking tech crap.
Well, welcome once more to Discovering SCP. I'm Darnell Jim Maine. And Tanhony, why don't you tell us how many SCPs we've got today?
Oh, you know what you're here for. We got 3. Count them, 1, 2, 3. Of those SCP humdingers here ready to quick look at.
3 SCPs. And you know what else it is today, Tanhony?
Oh, what is it? Tell me.
This is episode 30 of the podcast.
Holy
31 if you
shit.
count 27B. Isn't that
Holy
amazing? We've been doing this for 31 weeks straight. How bizarre is that?
What has happened to us? I'm going to stop doing the cowboy voice in 3 seconds because I've run out of cowboy jokes.
That's sad. I think this voice, I reckon, would be good for a podcast, I suppose.
Welcome back to the real Discovering SCP. This was just another part of Tanhony Tower. It was a mind trick on you.
I can't believe he did this to me.
It was a hallucination.
Alright, so what 3 SCPs do you have for me today?
Before we get into the SCPs, I am contractually obliged to tell people that on the SCP Wiki there is currently a contest going on.
Why do you have to tell people?
Because Boris gave a full space review and I said I'd plug anything he wanted if I did.
Why did you make that promise?
I just did. I want everyone to know that the promise is now expired.
Okay, good. So only Boris got to cash it.
Well, he was the only one to do it, so nice one, Boris. So, I bet you're wondering, Darnell, what is the Canon Renaissance contest?
I imagine it has to do with the Renaissance era, right?
You're wrong.
Oh.
So, this requires a lot of explanation because we haven't got to canons yet. So basically...
Right. Try to keep it to under 1 minute. Ready, go.
So the SCP Wiki has no canon, right?
Okay.
So instead we have lots of different canons that are like alternate universes that people can write in if they like to, or make their own. The ones like, there's one where the SCP Foundation doesn't exist, and the other organizations have to sort of fill the gap there. There's ones where the Masquerade...
There's the one where I kill you in one hit as well, right?
Well, that was deleted from the Wiki because it was unrealistic. There's the Broken Masquerade, where the SCP Wiki becomes known to the public. There's ones where it's like a post-apocalypse fantasy world called the Bellaverse. There's all sorts. And some of these, of course, as the years have gone on, some of these canons haven't been written in for quite a while.
Uh-huh.
So the Canon Renaissance contest is a team-based contest where various teams come together, pick one of these canons and just write for it. Write a little story arc or just a part of that universe for it. And whichever one gets the most upvotes of those articles they put in will win.
Okay, wow, that sounds really epic, and I totally paid attention the whole time you were speaking.
What'd I say?
You said that there are different canons that the SCP writes in, and the canons are based on like which one you like the most, and they're trying to write a bunch of people writing their own canons, and whichever one is liked the most wins.
That is not what I said at all. But
Is it not?
No, I don't want to explain it again, though.
I'm so sorry. I just have no investment in it. But you guys go check it out.
We got all sorts of people participating. We got Dr. Gears, who has reappeared from wherever he's been to participate. We got DJ
Holy
Cactus.
shit, isn't that like actually a big deal?
That is a big deal,
He's
yeah.
been gone a while.
Yeah, I've not heard from Dr. Gears in a while. We got Darnell Jermaine Cactus. We got Tanhony. Even Tanhony is participating.
Was that the team you were posting about earlier with like you and Peppers?
Me and Peppers and Ayers.
What was your team's name again?
Our team name is We Are Going to Beat You to Death.
Yeah, it's the best name ever. Did you guys even finish the last contest you partnered up with that everyone was talking about, or is this that contest?
I don't know what you mean, so that was probably this one.
No, remember the contest? It was like Gears, Cactus, and like some other guy, and you were like, wow, what a power team.
Darnell, I've just explained to you that the Gears came back for this contest.
I know, but he was on a team with Cactus.
This is that.
Oh, okay, so this is the same one. Well,
You think he left again and came back after another...
His mysterious disappearance for 2 weeks. You guys take way too long to finish a contest on
It
that.
hadn't started yet. It just started.
That sounds so like it took forever. That's too much bureaucracy. If I had a contest, I would simply start it and end it in the same day.
You heard it here first, folks. Well, anyway, that's not what the episode's about. This is just what Boris wanted me to plug. And I
We've
would
been
probably
recording
plug it anyway.
for 5.5 minutes already.
Well, it's about to end at 5.5 minutes if you don't fix your attitude.
Shit.
So let's get into it, everyone.
I can never tell if he's really mad at me or not. I'm sorry, Tam.
Let's get into it with the first article that we're going to be reading today. We're going back to Series 1. We never do this.
Why?
We never do this.
Why can't we just keep going in one linear direction?
Hold on. The rest of them are in Series 3. But this is required context.
Okay.
There's going to be a story arc today for the theme.
Okay.
SCP 610. And this is written by Neko-Chris.
Neko-Chris, like Cat Chris?
Yes.
Oh.
And it's called...
I'm trying to open it. The link's not going. All right.
You got to use your mouse on it.
I did.
And
I used it real good.
It's SCP-610 called The Flesh That Hates.
It's got a lot of upvotes too. Oh boy, The Flesh That Hates. Wasn't that your nickname in college?
Hell yeah. So...
Wait, do we have to click all these field logs?
Yes, it's a part of the article.
Are you serious?
Don't worry, it's not that big.
Okay, alright, let's do this.
I assume. I didn't check beforehand.
I'm gonna fucking die. Oh my god.
Anyway, we're going to popcorn them. Anyway, it's fine.
Okay. Should have got some water for this.
Don't worry. Item number SCP-610. Object Class Keta. Special Containment Procedures. Due to the vast area of infection SCP-610 covers, containment is impossible. Oops. Isolation of the area has proved far more effective, and permission to be granted by the Russian government to establish a perimeter to keep people out of these areas under the guise of military operations.
Okay.
Should any organism displaying traits consistent with the SCP be sighted near this perimeter, then the established protocol requires it be engaged with small arms until immobile, then dispatched using incendiary weapons and munitions from as great a distance as possible.
So why bother with the short range and then do long range?
Well, I guess to make it so it can't fucking run at you.
So they're like zombies.
Any living thing coming in physical contact with an organism infected with SCP-610 is considered expendable and is to be immediately terminated and incinerated.
So they're like zombies.
Any persons coming within 3 meters of SCP-610 infected life are to immediately withdraw from the area, be isolated from the rest of their team, and subjected to medical examination using only remote techniques to determine if infection has occurred and appropriate steps taken based on that determination. Mm-hmm. So it's like, don't fucking go near it.
I think I have a strong guess as to what this is, but I'm gonna wait it out.
At present, the known infection vectors for SCP-610's spread seem to be focused on physical contact. Drone movements within heavily infected area have returned air samples containing minute particulate, which were exposed...
Minute particulate.
Yeah. Well, since you know how about you read the rest then?
Okay. Minute particulate, which when exposed to organic compounds will result in the spread of SCP-610. The results of these particular tests have revealed that most require several days to manifest, if at all, with the exception of direct contact with exposed lung and liver tissue. These particular tests show a rapid rate of growth which requires incineration of the testing environment no more than 24 hours after initial exposure, with even a 2-hour mishap risking a compromised facility event. Given that this kind of rapid growth only occurs in organic material existing outside the human body, this form of infection is currently considered a minor concern. These peculiarities have given rise to a series of questions regarding the possible origin of the infection in conjunction with the failed data expunged. Containment protocol remains at a scorched earth policy at this time, and no concern for transmission via water or air at infection parameters exists, barring situational changes in the field.
I see. What do you think so far? What you seem to...
Well, this is, it's really hard, but if I had to guess, I guess I would think it's zombies.
You feel. Description. Initial reports of SCP-610 came direct from the Russian government through undisclosable channels. These reports consisted primarily of disappearances of farmers in the region and were not considered until the local police, followed by the regional police, and finally a government dispatched agent, all failed to report in within a 72-hour period.
No.
A small military contingent was quick dispatched to the area and quickly withdrew, at which point the Foundation was contacted to investigate.
I'm gonna stop correcting you on, like, minor pronunciation errors, because I don't want to make you actually mad at me.
Okay. I don't know why you said that then. Did I make it up one?
Yeah, you said
Which one was it?
Weird. You said contingent instead of contingent.
No, I didn't. The area SCP-610 affects is close to Lake Baikal in southern Siberia. Areas of known infection are marked on a map provided to us here. Wow.
Should we click this?
Yeah, describe it to us, Darnell.
Oh, alright, so at the top you have the Akusteroblast. There seems to be a river called the Lena. And
That's crazy.
Called, and then there's a Lena Natural Reservat, which I assume is Russian for natural reserve. And then there's this big tendril-shaped thing of water that's, I guess, a lake.
Yeah, I believe those are called rivers.
No, the river was the Lena. That's a river. This is like a huge body of water.
I see.
So I think it's like a lake. And then after the lake is the Republic Burjatian. I hope you like that description of a map.
Thank you. I can see it as if in my head. I've got a challenge for the people in comments. Draw the map based on Darnell's description and tweet it to us.
Please do. That would be really funny. There's no reward for it, but it would just be funny.
Containment perimeters are marked in blue surrounding these infection areas, and as of present, no further locations have been identified. Incursions into the perimeter must be reported prior to conducting, confirmed during exploration, and debriefed on immediately following return. SCP-610 appears to be contagious skin disease at first, with symptoms including rash, itching, and increased skin sensitivity.
This sounds like a Plague Inc. game.
Within 3 hours, the disease will cause blemishes resembling heavy scar tissue to form on the chest and arm areas, spreading to the legs and back within an additional hour, consuming the victim completely within 5 hours. So you fucking scar tissue overwhelms your body. Exposure to higher temperatures vastly decreases the time for the contagion to spread, and complete infections have been recorded occurring in as little as 5 minutes.
Wow. In 5 minutes, you too can become this guy.
You can become flesh.
You can become the map.
After the completion of the infection occurs, the victim's life function will cease for approximately 3 minutes, after which time they will restart at 2 to 3 times the activity rate of a normal human. Following this, the scar tissue on the victims will start to move of its own accord and grow at a rapid rate. Normal human features start to disappear at this point under the infection, and the path of mutation appears to be largely random.
Oh, so this is interesting. The messed up scar tissue caused by the infection becomes the thing that takes over your body. So it's not necessarily zombies, it's just aggressive flesh.
Subjects observed in this stage of infection have been recorded as growing 3 or more limbs of a type, such as arms and legs. The head may become misshapen and elongate or widen out.
Wait, hold on. They said limbs of a type such as arms or legs. What other kind of limbs are there?
And parts of the subject may split open, from which additional branches of flesh will grow.
Okay.
The duration of this stage of infection is unknown, and not all subjects appear to progress to the later stages. Under unknown conditions, an infected individual will cease moving and place itself in a location it deems suitable where it roots itself. The fleshy growth on the victim will then begin to spread across all surrounding objects and consume them. Just like Avatar The Last Airbender, crazy. This is what Aang does.
Yeah, absolutely.
Aang the Last
Did you finish Avatar The Last Airbender yet?
No.
Why?
Because I just haven't.
You're so close.
Such objects do not spread the infection as living creatures do, however, and the effect of prolonged contact with these objects is recorded later in this document. It is assumed that this behaviour is to create an area hospitable to continued growth of the other infected. Observation of life infected by SCP by staff is impossible. Those infected with the disease immediately seek out aid as natural human impulse, resulting in unintended infections. Those infected past the scar tissue phase actively and aggressively attempt to infect anyone approaching them within an undefined area. It has been established that should an infected be capable of sight and observe an uninfected, it will proceed towards them. If the infected has lost the ability of sight, a range of approximately 30 meters is considered safe.
It's like a fucking stand.
Observation of the infected settlements has been established using artificial methods such as remote robots. This is quite cute because now we would say drones. Now it's like, because drones are so common nowadays, but when this was written, you have to have like a bit more explanation. You have to say robots, so you know they know what you're talking about.
That's actually pretty funny.
Now, like if I said drone back then, you'd be like, "What do you mean?" You have to say robot.
Drone, like Star Wars. That's what your drone is.
There's a droid, you fool.
Oh, fuck off.
We got fucking C-3PO in there. Oh dear!
Oh dear, I'm dropping bombs.
The data returned from these... That's his famous line. Returned from these observations, coupled with the openly aggressive nature of the infected to attempt to spread the SCP, had resulted in the Keter classification. However, so long as nothing is allowed to enter or leave the infected areas, it is considered a neutralized threat. I wouldn't fucking say so. In what way is it neutralized?
Hey, it's neutralized, don't worry about it.
It's still there.
No, it's neutralized, don't worry about it.
Of concern are the cavernous areas beneath the infected settlements that were discovered during the exploration, and attempts to get research personnel into these areas are underway.
Yeah, because any organic tissue can contract this, right? All it takes is a couple of rats in the city and everyone's fucked.
Mushrooms.
A small remote-controlled rover is... Oh, do we have to read all these?
Yes, this is sort of the article.
SCP-610-L1. A small remote-controlled rover is sent to Site A to locate missing personnel. I really should have got water. Fuck my life.
Yeah, we record a podcast. This happens every episode.
What if you started reading and I just went to get water? Ha ha ha.
This would defeat the central purpose of the show.
I know, but I'm so thirsty. Okay, let's do this.
Oh Jesus, I didn't realize how fucking long these were.
Yeah, no shit. It's so long.
Let's get into it. We'll popcorn it. It's fine.
My throat. Okay.
After establishing the containment perimeter for the SCP, the Russian government approved our request to research and investigate the area. For the first such exploration, a small camera-mounted unit known as Herbie, a droid, was dispatched at a safe distance and directed towards Site A. Herbie has a battery life of 12 hours and a control range far wider than that required for this dispatch.
That seems like a curse, because the whole point of Herbie, like the movie, is the car came to life, but doesn't this thing infect all organic life?
I'm not familiar with Herbie.
Herbie's a movie about a car, it's like a 50s or 60s movie, like black and white movie. It's about like a race car that comes to life.
I thought you were about to say a racist car.
No, a race car,
Okay.
like on a track to get a trophy, it comes to life and it talks with its headlights.
I see. So Herbie
Look it up. It's called Herbie Fully Reloaded, I think.
What the hell's this guy talking about? Well, yeah, sure, I love that movie. Herbie is able to enter Site A without incidents. The landscape around Site A shows early stages of assimilation by singular SCP infected, who have fallen at largely random intervals around what remains of the village.
I was wrong. Herbie's not a black and white movie, but it was from like the 60s.
Okay. Many of the homes appear to have... No, I don't care about Herbie, I'm going to be honest.
Sorry, I got... You never care about my stories. This is sad.
It's not your story. It's a movie from the 60s about a racist car or some shit. Many of the homes appear to have suffered fire damage long since put out. However, a fair few remain intact. Aerial reconnaissance of Site A combined with thermal imaging has put in an estimated population of 79 infected.
Oh, that's not so bad.
Yeah. Immobile infected are included in this number. However, it is difficult to ascertain the exact percentage of mobile versus immobile.
So if I'm understanding this, because anything that touches it or gets near it could be infected, their goal is to shoot a thing to the point where it literally can't move, and then while this thing is like suffering and immobile, just come back later and burn it.
Yeah.
That's so sad.
Varying degrees of physical mutation due to the SCP are present in Site A, and it is assumed that all inhabitants are in advanced stages of infection. Herbie observed the exterior of the village for 2 hours, during which time all infected behaved what appeared to be a loose sense of social structure.
Oh, so it's like a hive mind.
Because Herbie remained stationary during this observation period, it is unknown precisely what each individual infected was doing. However, the Central Plaza experienced occasional bursts of activity and downtime. Requiring more information, Herbie was directed to follow an infected as it entered a home. What happened then, Darnell?
Gonna make me do this without water. There is bumpy camera feed as Herbie scoots over the gravel behind the quickly shambling infected person. The interior of this home is the same as that attached to the primary file for SCP-610. The infected being tailed is the one sitting at the table. After entering the home, Herbie's camera was raised slowly as to not draw attention. This action was either unnoticed or ignored. The infected person is watched from the doorway as it hobbles around the home and stops at each of the other visible infected organisms. However, it appears to ignore the one under the table, which, while not immobile, does not leave that area. What this creature was before infection is unclear. Ugh. It kind of makes me think that they, have you ever seen Akira?
No, but I know what you mean.
The fucking flesh growth. After lapping the table and repeating this procedure 3 times, the primary infected person, known as Alpha henceforward, stops at the bedridden infected, known as Beta, and proceeds to assault it with furious punches. Beta is unable to leave the bed for unknown reasons, but is not completely immobile as it flails its arms in response to the beatings delivered by Alpha. After several sustained minutes of this beating, a piercing sound explodes from the area around Beta, who then proceeds to project a cloud of unknown matter into the air from its chest cavity.
7-page reader.
Pretty much. Alpha lingers in the cloud as it floats in the air around them, slowly descending to the ground. The unknown life form on the table aside Beta begins to twitch in an apparent seizure, and Alpha then laps the room twice more, stopping again at each infected organism, but still ignoring the one under the table, as well as Beta now. After these 2 laps, Alpha seats itself at the table and reaches out to position the 3 plates atop it as if setting a dinner set. So they're still weirdly and loosely behaving like they did in life. After the plates are positioned, the facial tendrils, extending from Alpha wiggle up and start to coil on one of the plates before tearing apart and separating. This is repeated at each plate. The image attached to SCP-610's primary file is a still image of this occurrance.
That image has unfortunately been copyrighted, but...
Hey, artists, if you would like to draw that image... no, I'm kidding.
Yeah, once you're done with the map.
Yeah, focus on the map. The map's the most important thing. After we're just asking artists to draw every fucking bit we do. After each plate is filled with Alpha's flesh, it leaves the table and approaches Herbie, which is moved from Alpha's path. Alpha leaves the home, but Herbie's camera remains focused on the table. After several minutes, a group comprised of 6 to 7 infected enter the room from outside, still ignoring Herbie. Each infected shambles as if movement is difficult, jerking in large steps or squirming in small ones. These infected all surround the table, and each takes turns grabbing handfuls of the flesh substance left behind by Alpha, pressing it into whatever orifices on themselves that they can. Some into mouths, some into the chest, some behind their backs, some under the arms.
Eating with my armpits.
Where the fuck is the orifice under the arm? When all the plates are empty, this group leaves. Herbie remains here for several more minutes before retracting its camera and leaving. So, it mentioned earlier that they either somehow didn't notice or just ignored. They clearly don't care because he's not organic, right?
Yeah, I think that's the thing there, yeah. Herbie's like, Herbie had seen it all. It was time for him to leave.
Yeah, pretty much. Fucking... Immediately after leaving the home... So, are these next 2 SCPs we're going to read going to be people infected?
Well, maybe we'll see what they are. Smile.
Immediately after leaving the home, Herbie collides with an object. Panning the camera around the obstruction appears to be Alpha, whose facial tendrils are intermingling with another infected, having similar mutations. Oh, so that means they communicate by, touching tendrils.
Oh, I thought they were making out.
Oh. The impact is ignored, and the 2 infected part ways after several minutes. Herbie is then directed to explore more areas of the village. It's weird to me because I know it's supposed to be look at these horrifying things that don't even notice the robot because they only care about organic flesh, but it just feels like this clumsy comedy relief fucking robot that no one noticed. Just bumping around. Beep, beep, beep. Bump, bump.
Come along, R2. Don't bother the people.
The SCP Foundation has the highest technology, like the scramble features and fucking robot that bumps into walls.
Weird.
Just imagining the doctor's shit as he's bumping into the wall trying to get it out of the corner. Fuck. Inside the store are several infected persons, most of whom are standing around. However, one is on the ground, rolling back and forth over the space of approximately 0.3 meters, 1 foot. Thank you for that parentheses. That was very necessary. And is ignored by the others. Herbie rolls under the divider, separating the cashier area from the customer area, and pans around behind the counter. The upper half of a person is protruding from a cellar door behind the counter. This person does not appear to be suffering from advanced infection and wears the garb of a Russian soldier. Herbie zooms... Is it Herbie or Herbie? Herbie. Herbie zooms the camera in to confirm identification, and it is noticed the eyes of this person are in constant movement, often focusing on Herbie. The rest of the soldier does not move. I guess he was immobilized. Herbie is directed to leave this area and proceeds to the back room. In this storage area, a large pot... this would make a really good game like Killing Floor. You have to, immobilize them, and then there's a separate role of, you have to go get the fire to extinguish them before more come. After you've immobilized them. And just last as long as you can.
Yeah.
Herbie is directed to leave this area and proceeds to the back room. In this storage area, a large pile of bodies are stacked together. Some pieces of clothing are visible and appear to contain both military garb and everyday clothing. No facial features are discernible on any of the bodies due to the way they are stacked. Atop the bodies, an infected sits, appearing to have its lower parts fused to the pile, and with its upper half in a wild state of flailing and seizure. Approximately every 10 seconds, a burst of spores flies out the top of this infected, which linger in the air. Herbie is directed to leave the building. After leaving this building, Herbie passes by the village well, surrounding which are a series of immobile infected, all facing the well. The arms of each of these infected persons are stretched out, one in contact with the next, forming a perfect chain, save for one whose arms are down in its sides. Herbie passed by this last infected to approach what appears to have been a town hall or mayor's building, when the infected becomes mobile and snatches the rover up. Video feed from Herbie focuses on the face of the infected, which is strangely in perfect shape given the condition of the rest of its body, which is horribly bloated. This infected was once a young girl from appearance, age estimated 10 to 12. Herbie is rolled side to side in its grip as its face stares motionless at the rover. The infected's face suddenly balloons in size and explodes outward into a series of fleshy flaps that grip Herbie and draw it inside. Herbie's video feed terminates here. Well, so much for a fucking theory about it not being cared about.
Herbie got bored.
I love how... But this only makes it more comedic because clearly they did notice and can grab him, but there were several times he just bumped into people and recorded camera and they didn't give a fuck. For whatever reason. Like, why? It doesn't make sense. Herbie was considered lost at this point. However, no one in control remembered to turn off the video feed, assuming it cut. 5 hours later, Herbie's video feed resumed, stationary and at a raised level, pointing at the upper room of the village well. The video feed contains some blur due to what appears to be a slimy film, which often oozes across the lens, but when not obscured, provides perfect quality recording. It's fine! Don't worry about it.
Hey, it looks good.
It looks better than our videos. Herbie does not respond to any remote commands, but its video jerks back and forth from target to target, zooming in and out of its own accord. Video feed is cut manually and all connections to Herbie's unit are ordered erased. Proceed to next document, SCP-610L2. Can we take a quick break so I can get a crumb of water?
Yes, of course.
Alright, I'll be right back.
So because of our new recording method, this will be very difficult to cut, so I'm not going to cut it. I'm just going to talk to you, my friends, in the battalion, my SCP comrades. You see, I've been thinking recently that this world, it has an overabundance of effort in it. And I don't like putting effort into things. So I won't. You, however, have put in effort to watch this video, and I appreciate that. You clicked on the video, you started listening, you stuck in it through. You stuck in it through the cowboy bit. And now Darnell's back. That wasn't so bad.
What was that about the cowboy bit?
I was just telling them about my new philosophy on effort and how I don't care for it.
What? So I don't get it. Were you saying I was bad for doing the cowboy bit, or were you talking about how epic I am?
Don't worry about it. You just have to watch the video. Give us a review, eh?
That's really sad. Tanhony.
So I've been thinking. Right. So for the story arc that we'll be reading about today, the rest of the logs are not really that vital to it.
Thank God. Okay, because I was going to lose my mind. Wow.
Maybe.
So we can call it here?
Yeah, and we can proceed to the next one. But maybe if people want to see those other logs, they can leave a comment to that effect.
If logs SCP-610-L2 through L5 are crucial to you, leave a comment. You have to comment the code so we know you mean it. The code is 175-AE-462-D7-L39. And if you don't comment that, then your sincerity will not be recognized.
Yeah, I won't believe you. I'll think you're here to kill me.
Alright, so I'll grade the article incompletely after reading log 1 in the beginning. So I'll give this one a little bit of grace because it was early SCP. And
also we didn't read the whole thing.
Yeah, and for early SCP, it's got decent length, and it's got a decent narrative too, it seems. Which I feel like, and you've mentioned, and I've noticed from my experience, that a lot of Series 1 are like magic items or just like bullshit that gets away with it because it was Season 1. So for that, I want to give this one credit. I like it. That said, if you chalk it up to like modern standards and writing technique, it's a little wordy at parts. It's got a little bit of the flaw of like it's the like 0.3 meters parentheses 1 foot or shit like that. But for the most part, I thought it was cool. I'm interested. It's just like Flesh Zombie, right?
Yes, but with a little bit of retained consciousness there.
Yeah, and I like the Akira-esque visuals that I had in my head for it, so I'll give it like an 8 out of 10.
Okay. Well, for the second one this week then, we have SCP-2095.
2095?
And it is called... I can't remember what it's called. Let me find out, but I know who it's by.
Right. I might be wrong because I feel like I see a comment every episode about a different 2000s SCP, but is 2095 one of the ones that our audience wanted us to read?
I don't know. It might have been.
Because I know there was a comment, at least close to that number, someone wanted to read, and I think you were like, yeah, we'll do it. And I was like, cool.
Well, well, that's certainly on the list whatever article that was, because I remember. Item number, SCP-2095. It's called The Siege of Gyaros.
Ooh, Gyarados?
Gyaros. Gyaros.
Gyarados?
No, Gyarados.
Mm-hmm.
And this one is by Metaphysician.
Oh, that's, I think that's Aiko's friend. He did a bunch of other things that they talk about a lot.
Yeah, we've read one of his previously with the Fat Tree, remember?
That's right. Hi, Metaphysician, if you're listening. Okay, so I see a picture of a rock, and it says SCP-2095 after excavation on August 7th, 1948.
Nice one, you can read.
Yeah.
Let's get into it. Item number SCP-2095.
If you say Safe,
Object class Safe. You can hear the smugness in my voice as I approach it. Special containment procedures. Reliquary Site 26. Yeah, say some shit. You got something to say about my pronunciation of Reliquary?
No, you were fine. I just wish you would stop saying Safe.
Was constructed around SCP-2095, preventing access and enclosing it from view. Site 26 had been disguised as a weather observatory, and agents within the Greek government are to ensure that the site is publicly viewed as such.
Cool.
Description.
So, rather than hiding it, they just disguised it as something else.
Yeah, and it's also, well, you also can't come in.
Is this the weather observatory in Majora's Mask where you go in and the old guy's like, I think there's a meteor coming down?
You got it, that's it. Okay, well, let's get to it. So, description. The SCP is a primarily subterranean temple complex.
There's a footnote.
Part of the outer structure is above ground. The interior is entirely subsurface. Located at Gyarados, an arid and uninhabited Greek island in the Aegean Sea.
Oh, that's weird. Why didn't you just say Gyarados the first time instead of Gyarados?
I'm gonna fucking kill you. Get off the podcast.
I can't tell if you're actually mad at me or not.
No, you're not. No, you're on my meal ticket. Structure predates previously known archaeological sites on the island. Inscriptions found within have included Cretan hieroglyphs, Linear A, Hittite cuneiform, and a previously unknown writing system composed of spiral-shaped glyphs varying in complexity.
I know it's definitely a stretch, but just spiral-shaped glyphs makes me think like Uzumaki Junji.
I was going to say that, yeah. I like spirals. Of the writing systems used at SCP-2095, only Hittite cuneiform has been translated.
So it's going to be like our Rosetta Stone.
So the SCP is composed of entirely biological material and is believed to have once been a living organism. Samples taken from the SCP have revealed bone, chitin, muscle, adipose, and viscera. Radiocarbon dating has placed the subject's death at... I don't know what cal means there.
I'll be honest, I don't either.
12,000 to 10,000 BCE.
Oh, 1 theta? I don't know, that's not a theta. What the fuck is that?
With soft tissue having undergone a form of embalmment, so it's an old big boy. Chambers are connected together via tunnels, which are structurally and cellularly similar to the inner lining of the human intestinal tract.
Yeah, so it's like a living thing. Oh my god, what would happen? Oh, right. Well, does the last one we read infect dead organic tissue? Because what would happen if you put that near this?
I don't know. I don't know. I think it does. So, large sphincters appear to have served as doors and are permanently relaxed. These portals would have likely been able to open and close as needed pre-mortem. You okay?
It's just butthole doors.
The largest... How immature of you.
Just shut up.
The largest room contains an altar composed of bone, a component of the SCP organism. Forensic evidence...
Do you think the butt ghost haunts the fucking doors? Sorry.
Forensic evidence suggests that it was used in a sacrificial manner. It is believed possible that living sacrifices provided the SCP with the nutrients necessary for its survival, and the floor itself shows signs of acidic corrosion. The base of the altar has been carved into an Ouroboros, believed to be a symbol of religious importance to the creators of the SCP.
Is this gonna be that Ouroboros thing people was telling us to read that's like 10 million years long? Okay.
That is something different.
They just mean the symbol of like the snake eating and stuff. Okay.
29 scrolls were discovered within the northernmost chamber of the SCP. Only 4 were found to be written in Hittite cuneiform, while the rest remain undecipherable. Of those 4, 3 are considered to be of a spiritual/philosophical nature, while 1 appears to be an inventory report. Foundation archaeologists have found evidence of warfare throughout the island. This has included skeletal remains depicting likely anomalous causes for death, such as implosion, internal combustion, disintegration, radiation poisoning, and fatal physical reconfiguration.
Does the series of tunnels span the entire island, or is it just the island around the site that was in warfare?
The island around the site, I guess.
Okay.
Because the actual complex is like a building that goes underground, but it's
right.
also
So clearly, this building was like of such a great importance to a number of cultures that like everyone was fighting over it.
Yeah, there's some sort of conflict over this place.
Nice.
So the Foundation became aware of the SCP after reports of a cathedral of bone being discovered by a team of Greek archaeologists who'd been studying the large mound on the Isle of Gyaros. Class B amnestics were administered, and the archaeologists returned to the general population. The SCP was easily secured, and construction of Reliquary Site 26 was completed by 12/09/1949.
Alright, so we've got the inventory, and then we've got scroll 1, 2, and 3. So do we start with inventory and go down?
Yeah.
Alright, do you want me to handle these at all? Or do you want to popcorn them?
We'll popcorn them.
Okay. So me first?
Yes, I'll go first. So resources, illegible. 1,340 slaves. 10 surrendered at the Shrine of Consumption when the Black Moon holds dominion over the heavens.
Isn't the Black Moon... Now, I know I'm not supposed to know anything about SCP, but I've heard from like 10 million things the Black Moon howls. Isn't that like its own thing?
That is a common phrase. That's a common security phrase in the SCP wiki.
Okay, so this is related to other SCP stuff.
Yes, the Black Moon is... it's a very loosely defined phrase that it doesn't really...
So like that
much
Reddit
of a
thing,
meaning?
like the bacon narwhals, and like,
yeah, it's exactly like that.
I got you. That's how people know, like, you're a fellow SCP fan back in 2012.
So, 12 bilto of gold, pure. That's
well, that's a lot of kilograms of gold.
1,200 goats, 300 pigs, fragment missing.
A single live bee found in Cleopatra's coffin. That one's for a special friend of ours.
Our Sacred Legion, 3,000 Aditite faithful. 500 Thracian faithful, including 12, and then the translation's a bit unclear here. That's the translation there, yeah. Storm
Thracia, that's the name of a Fire Emblem game. Just, that's my contribution to that.
Don't know. So, I want to say the Thracians were the Indo-European people who inhabited large parts of Eastern and Southeastern Europe in ancient times.
Oh, well, I didn't know that. I'm sorry.
So it is
Remind me of the Fire Emblem game called Thracia, though.
I assume that is where they got it from.
Yeah, maybe. Or maybe it was the other way around. They went to the future and they found out about the Fire Emblem game. They're like, that's a cool name.
So 2,000 Urartu, which translates to either converts or conscripts. 400 Sardinian mercenaries, 250 Kaskin faithful, and 100 Kaftor conspirators. Can their loyalty be trusted when they so easily betrayed their own?
I love how the rest of this is just inventory, and then that one has like a philosophical piece
it's like
attached
shade,
to it.
some shade thrown in there.
Yeah. Likely Minoan's context remains unknown is the footnote.
And 300 Messenian mercenaries.
I think I've heard of Mycenaean.
Yeah, these are all sort of ancient cultures, I believe.
Okay, so these aren't just made-up SCP things.
There's only one that is an SCP thing there.
Is that Sardinian?
No, Sardinian was real.
Which one's the fake one?
The first one.
Oh, Aditite?
Yeah.
Okay.
Armory.
You know what this kind of sounds like? This sounds like me planning a D&D session. This is my notes page. All the loot, all the enemies.
Armory. 2,500 bone-crafted blades and shields. 2,000 bone-crafted bows. 10,000 bone-crafted arrows, poisoned with hellebore and venom of adder.
Ooh.
60 amphora of illegible.
Amphora is just like a container, right?
I think so. 200 amphora of liquid fire. 20 curse tablets placed around perimeter of island. 1 amphora of red death.
Oh, that's such a menacing name, especially because there's only one of it.
Oh, Jesus. Okay, I'll popcorn over to you for the first scroll.
So this is just the inventory scroll. These aren't all the things they found, right?
This is the inventory that they found there.
Oh, wow, I got the easy scroll. The wound capitalized, cut from the flesh of totality. Deep it severed the line of future and past. Drawn to its ancient fester, gods swarmed as flies to a corpse. We waited within bloodless veins, faithful to that which we could not know, unable to imagine that we might become their greater. Here we slept until our souls became flesh. Sone alku.
Nice.
Then we have scroll 2. Heavily stained. Do you want to keep popcorn, or do you want me to just...
We'll swap over for the next one here.
Okay, go for it.
Heavily stained, paragraph illegible. The swineherd prostrated himself before the Sorcerer King and asked, Great Sorcerer King and Ozimork, heart of man and light of lights, I speak for the folk of the Cold Marsh. We fear
Why do you talk like a Nord from Skyrim?
We fear the red lantern that dance without harmony. Our spirit guides warn of ill omens. And Ion, I think it is, Ion did assure the man, I have gazed upon the faceless ones, servitors of his undulating vastness. Their chief is blind, castrated by our words and will. He sings songs of anarchy, but they will not come again. These terrible spirits do not deserve our love. Render unto them no sacrifice until the stars have aligned. Sone Vith. So presumably these are like some sort of holy books here.
I don't know, this sounds kind of eldritch to me. But it's funny, because usually with eldritch being deities, there's like this idea of like vastness and cosmological horror, but it sounds, these guys are like, man, fuck these guys! They're not paying attention to us like eldritch gods do. Let's stop giving them things. It's very pouty in tone. Alright. And to his flock Ion thus spoke. I have stepped beyond the flow of dreams, stood before the old ones within their own desolate domain. I have endured their intolerable force across countless eons. I have seen the infinite dead worlds, murdered death herself. I have read the entrails of our Creator, beheld eternity unfurled. Know that our paradise draws near, and with our own flesh shall we birth it. Sone scowl. What's interesting to me is this is all about the same guy, Ion, but they're all written by different Sones.
I think those are like the names of the books, maybe.
Oh, kind of like how just like for easy reference for me, like the Bible has like Matthew and John, but they're all about Jesus. Okay, cool.
So, addendum. On 5/24/2014, so quite a while after they found it, an earthquake occurred in the Aegean Sea. Reliquary Site-26 was unharmed, as were the anomalous objects retained within since its construction. The SCP did, however, suffer some structural damage, but proved to be a serendipitous event. A hitherto unknown sphincter, sealed and hidden through calcification, had ruptured open within the altar chamber.
I'm literally 12 years old, I can't.
An opportunity presents itself. Right. Exploration of the chamber led to the discovery of the body of a human male. Individual has shown no signs of decay, and although lacking a detectable heartbeat, EEG scans have revealed low-level brain activity.
How much do we want to bet that's Ion?
Maybe not, but we'll see. Research into the subject and its relationship with the SCP is currently ongoing.
Do you think it's a victim of the flesh disease, because the flesh disease makes you dead for a bit, but then you come back?
I don't know. Maybe we'll see. Found inside was a single well-preserved scroll, strewn carelessly and likely never meant to be contained within. Deduced to be a letter, is believed to be written by the ruling authority at the SCP, but had been unsent, possibly due to events directly referenced within. The document has been translated and is now accessible for viewing by Foundation personnel.
Oh, that's a letter.
There's a little seal that was attached to it as well.
Alright, you want this one or me?
I'll do it. Grand Carsist Ion. May this missive find you at Kifera, for it shall be my last. Our enemies have begun their assault on the island, but we have completed the rite of preservation. The temple will sleep and await resurrection by the children of Aditum.
Oh, hey, that's the thing you said was made up earlier, the Aditites.
Yeah. The fallen kingdoms and followers of Mechy have united against us, even as their nations crumble. Still, they have transmuted every victory in that region to that of defeat, even as their own fates are sealed. So, followers of Mechy, so this is something that you would usually have to put together a bit itself, but remember the Church of the Broken God?
Mm-hmm.
So the Broken God is also referred to as Mechy.
No way!
Yeah.
Yo, bro, I actually like the Broken God. That's my favorite canon so far. Or group of interest, or whatever the fuck you call it. I really liked it. I liked that episode. I want to do more of that.
In Series 3 especially, we're going to be getting into this because there's a lot of Broken God shit in Series 3. It starts getting into sort of some ancient history of that shit.
Frickin' hype.
The Bleeding Heart is our last stronghold in the Aegean Sea, but no doubt our eastern domain remains strong under your eternal gaze. The wound sustained today will heal. Into the ages of ages we are undying.
It's kind of funny that it says that and it's next to like a basically dead body in a dead living tunnel.
He is undying though.
His brainwaves. He do be having brainwaves though.
The victory here shall be hollow. Karsus Mexa have claimed their profane instruments and sails for Kifa as I write this. I vow that none are to leave this island alive. May their names be obliterated and their flesh consumed. We summon the Red Death.
Oh, that was the thing they had exactly one of.
Yeah. For the blood of heathens we sacrifice ourselves. We will meet again in Aditum. I remain...
Is Aditum like their Garden of Eden?
Maybe. Karsus Tundas. So, this isn't ever especially mentioned in any articles, I believe, but the Red Death is implied to be SCP-610.
Oh, that's really cool. Yeah, I gotta say, I really like these SCPs that are either history, like the Davites or this, or like religious focus, like the Broken God, or like the Fifth Church. Those are my favorite ones. I don't really like the ones that are just like, I'm a monster and I kill you. But I really like the religion and the world-building ones a lot.
SCP-682. SCP-682 in Roman times. Oh.
Ooh!
Real shit.
No, but I really love like the world building ones. They get me so much more drawn in.
I
He's
love
a
it
spooky. You have to put him in the liquid container and then the electric container, and he's gonna break out because he makes holes in the wall.
If there's a good narrative around it, of course, that isn't an issue for me.
Yeah, not to insult that one that I was describing. That was just the first one that popped in my head. But I really love these like religious and like world building, old civ focused ones. They're really cool. Which is weird because I usually hate talking about history in real life. I have a friend that like only talks about history. But in SCP, it's fun.
Right,
There's
okay.
magic and anomalies.
So
I give this one a 9.5 out of... No, fuck it. I'm giving this a 10 out of 10. It was really good.
Nice one.
This deserves more attention, people. It needs more than 287. Wait a minute. Did you just upvote it too?
I did, yeah.
Based?
Well, now we're going to continue with our little story arc here to SCP-2217. Let me give you a link to that.
2217.
This one is by IHP, and it is called Hammer and Anvil.
Hammer and anvil. Hey, those are things blacksmiths use.
So let's get into it.
Okay. Oh, this one's got more formatting to it. Thaumiel. Yeah. Oh, is this our first time doing a thaumiel?
SCP-2000 was one, I believe.
Oh, right. Sorry.
This is our second one, I think.
So thaumiel is like a means to contain.
Yeah, it's something that's good that we use, I guess.
Yeah.
It originally was just sort of a thing we used to contain, but it's a bit more broad now, I think.
Yeah. Okay.
So item number, SCP-2217, object class Thaumiel. We've got a big picture here. SCP-2217, the island of blank is visible in the background.
I don't see an island.
Maybe that's it. Maybe it's just the big one. So there's a few different iterations of the containment procedures here. So we'll go through them if that's okay.
Oh, I like these. Usually people just do them with the crossed out, but I like that they're like separated by heading.
Okay. Object class Euclid was the first one. Special containment procedures. The SCP is to be closed off to the public with standard cover story 419, private property. Being enacted to prevent
You can shoot them because they're trespassing on your private property.
A meteorology centre. They're getting a lot of mileage out of this excuse. It's a weather thing.
Yeah, get the hell out of here. It's a weather thing.
Has been established near the SCP to effectively predict lightning strikes in the area, as well as other phenomena that contribute to the formation of anomalies on SCP-2217.
Oh, so it's an island that, under certain things, like creates more anomalies. That's kind of cool.
Individuals attempting to breach the perimeter of the SCP are detained and interrogated. Any individual who's found to have connections to GOI 004A, the Broken Church...
That's the Church of the Broken God, right?
Yeah, it's like a subset of that.
Hype!
Are to be detained indefinitely or terminated if they've been exposed to one of the contingent SCPs related to their GOI.
God, I love this. Oh,
What's
iteration 2.
Religious persecution. Actual fucking religious persecution.
Alright, but like, to be fair, don't these guys often like try to break out SCPs and like kill Foundation people too?
Yeah. Imagine if it said like any personnel, like, any people who come in with connections to GOI 927, Christianity.
If you believe in God, then you're gonna get the rod.
It's like, well, you broke him, but you did no harm. You can leave. He's like, oh, thank God. And he leans forward, he's like, thank who?
Like the Foundation is just a bunch of like edgy Reddit atheists. Like, what did you say? You believe in a god?
Sit back down.
My facts and logic on these supernatural anomalies tell me that it's time to kill you.
Okay, let's get to the second one. So it's an updated version here. Object class Euclid. Special procedures closed off to the public with standing cover story, private property. Meteorology said to effectively predict lightning strikes, as well as phenomena. The SCP is currently under attack by forces from the Broken Church, and anomalous activity on the SCP has increased exponentially. In the event that a member of Foundation personnel is struck by lightning on the SCP and survives, they are to be immediately detained and taken to Site 2217 Alpha in Sicily for indefinite containment.
I'm gonna be real. I've read a lot of articles now with you. What have we gone through? Probably at least 100 by now, right? Because we do 3 to 4 an episode. And I do not like the Foundation that much. They're kind of dicks. But the Church of the Broken God is kind of quirky, though. So I'm kind of hoping they win this one. Just being straight up. But given that this is an updated article from the Foundation, they probably don't.
Let's get into the next version. Object class Uncontained.
Oh, yes! They did it!
Special containment procedures. Retrieval and research into possible uses of the SCP is currently priority alpha for the Foundation. All members of GOI-4, the Church of the Broken God, like the full thing now, in Foundation custody, is to be interrogated using experimental compound Amnesty CA, a derivative of Class A amnestics. a partnership with the Horizon Initiative. So these haven't been mentioned previously. They're basically all three sort of major Abrahamic religions. It's sort of an alliance between those that deal with religious
we
anomalies.
mentioned them. They were mentioned a single other time when we did the one about the flat Earth. That was from a foreign one. I remember that.
Right. Yeah. So
because it had it was like Islam, Judaism, and Christianity were like all combining with their swords and relics to keep the Earth like round.
Right. Yes. So they're the sort of they deal with a lot of religious anomalies. Mm-hmm. So their partnership with them has allowed the Foundation near unlimited access to scripture related to the Church of the Broken God, which is being reviewed.
Based.
If events
See,
occur...
this is hitting all the points I like. Oh, this is good.
So, if events occur that corresponds to chapters 20 to 27 in the Book of Disassembly, immediate action is to be taken, and the Lake Baikal region is to undergo immediate.
I know it's
treatments.
probably called the Book of Disassembly because it's like about a mechanical god, but it just sounds like a fucking like car repair book. So you gotta put the carburetor here and the spark plug. All right. So what's current iteration?
So this one is active by a unanimous O5 council vote. Object class.
when they're finished dealing with Cassie, this is what comes up next.
It's the bird.
This is the bird?
No, this is the bird. Does not exist. I made it up.
Oh, damn it! I was waiting for the day we'd read the bird.
Special containment procedures. The SCP is currently undergoing weaponization in order to prevent scenario XK610. Oh, 610 it says there, alpha from occurring. I don't know.
So that's extermination class or whatever, right?
Yeah, it's like an end of the world scenario, but the number there is interesting that it uses.
610 alpha.
We just read SCP-610.
Oh! I'm stupid!
Oh god, oh fuck.
My brain farted. That's actually really clever.
Foundation, Horizon Initiative, and Global Occult Coalition assets, codenamed Triumvirate, are currently collaborating with Broken God members to attempt to summon UAE Aleph-15 as a further countermeasure to the aforementioned XK scenario.
If they were gamers, they should have named it the Triforce.
The scenario will be triggered on 12/31/2019. Oh, I guess it didn't happen. The Secrecy Directive will not...
Do you find it funny that the day before 2020 is when the world's supposed to go to shit?
Actually, that's a good point. maybe that's just the way it was.
Is this just coronavirus? Is that what it was?
So here's an interesting thing. The Secrecy Directive will not apply to any actions taken to prevent the scenario on this date.
No.
So they're not even going to bother hiding that shit.
Yeah, they're like, fuck it, whatever. I guess we're giving up.
So the description. The SCP is the entirety of the beach on the island of Redacted, Greece. The sand of the SCP is composed of non-anomalous silicates and calcium compounds, as well as several cationic.
Cationic, that means positively charged ion metal particles.
Metal particles which hold their charge despite being grounded. These particles partially act as a catalyst for the anomaly related to the SCP. The SCP also houses a small silicate root cliff at the northmost end, the interior of which is affected by an anomaly. Natural processes that take place in the SCP, including the decay of sea life that washes up on it, erosion of the shoreline, lightning strikes, made more frequent due to the aforementioned Satan content, and other weather conditions, result in the creation of structures and devices that are seemingly artificial in nature, collectively designated SCP.
So it's made of like little metal positively charged things, and whenever they are like struck by certain weather conditions, like lightning, it literally creates like robots and shit.
Machinery, yeah.
That's so cool.
Notable instances include several forms of machinery, ranging from simple timepieces to complex automatons, which are constructed from fulgurites and are often found buried under the sand of the SCP following lightning strikes. I don't know.
Let me look that up. Jamie, pull that up. Fulgurites are natural tubes, clumps, or masses of sintered, vitrified, and/or fused soil, sand, rock, organic debris, and other... Oh my god, what a shitty sentence, Wikipedia.
How interesting.
Yeah.
Apart from the circumstances of creation, these items do not have any anomalous properties and are fully functional.
Nice.
So, also, jewellery evidently fashioned from sea glass and other waste products, such as discarded light bulbs, hulls of ships, and animal bones. Jewellery often resembles or bears religious iconography used by the Broken Church.
Oh shit.
A model of a large city, designated SCP-2217-A1. The SCP...
Sorry for interrupting. I kind of want to play a D&D character that's like a cleric of the Broken God. It seems like a really cool deity to serve.
So the SCP-A1 is located in a grotto within a cliff on the SCP, accessible only via an underwater entrance. Structural elements in this SCP-A1 appear to correspond to an unknown ancient Greek city, with a temple bearing the word Kefera This name is shared with an island in the Attica region of Greece, approximately redacted kilometres from SCP-2217. The word Kythera appears in certain scripture related to the Church of the Broken God.
So Kythera.
Yeah. So, A1 bears several forms of religious iconography related to all three factions of the Church of the Broken God. However, despite the apparent Greek architecture, geographical features more closely resemble those found near Lake Baikal in southern Siberia, Russia. And now, Lake Baikal, is that what near 610 was?
What?
It was Lake Baikal. Oh, so Lake Baikal is mentioned in 610. That's where SCP-610 is. Was
that big lake I was talking about?
Yeah.
Based!
That's a nice one. That's a nice catch. So, analysis appears to show that the A1 city was carved entirely by natural forces such as tidal erosion. SCP-2217 is considered a holy site by the Broken Church, a splinter faction of the Church of the Broken God. A piece of scripture used by the religion, the Book of Rites, describes SCP-2217. Why don't you tell us about it, Darnell?
Right. Addendum. Excerpt from the Book of Rites. 1. The boy capitalized, looked out at the ocean with his family, and he saw fire rain down on it from God himself. God said to the boy, "This is my workshop. It is where I make many wonders. The lightning is my hammer, the earth my anvil, the sand my ingot." Oh my god, this is so cool. I'm fucking cooming right now. This is so epic. "Come, boy, come into my workshop." And the boy went, leaving his family behind. The boy's family wept, thinking that the boy was going to his death. They did not hear God like the boy did. On God's anvil, the boy spread his arms and cried to the sky, "Is this Ion? God,
no,
I am here! Show me your wonders!" Wait, what did you say?
It would not be Ion. He was all about the flashy shit.
Oh, right. And God did. He brought his hammer down on the boy, Wait, yeah, that's a good question. How does this have to do with the other two?
Don't worry.
He brought his hammer down on the boy, smiting him and tearing him asunder. He, like his God, was now broken. But the boy did not die. Instead, he became one of God's first children, forever marked. This mark was not a visible one. It was in his mind. The mark was the blueprint of God itself. Oh, so this is like the prophet of the Church of the Broken God, who knows how to put him back together. But it was only a fraction of the true blueprint, but he knew one day it would smite the flesh. Oh, so they're at war with the flesh. That makes sense, because it's like machine versus organic, right?
Mm-hmm.
The boy called out to his family, "Come and see the wonders of God. Let him smite you onto his anvil, and you shall be struck into a new form." And so his family saw the power of God. That's a really cool detail. I actually care a little bit more about the flesh stuff as an extension. Incident 2217-14. On 1/01/2014, a magnitude 4.1 earthquake occurred on SCP-2217, with the epicenter being concentrated around the grotto where SCP-2217-A1 is located. A robotic probe was launched and guided the SCP-A1's cavern, where it was discovered that a large structural shift had taken place. Excuse me. Several of the buildings appear to be in the process of being consumed by a substance resembling Pahoho lava. I hope I said that right. From this mass, several beings resembling individuals infected with SCP-610 were storming the town, destroying buildings and devouring humanoid figures. No individual figures were seen in SCP-2217-A1 prior to this incident. Incident 2217-35. Starting on 12/12/2017, several members of the Broken Church have attempted to attack the island where SCP-2217 is located, attempting to reclaim it for the Church. Experimental magnetic weaponry developed for the Esoteric Warfare Unit is currently being used to repel the attacks. However, there have been reports of Foundation personnel defecting after being struck by lightning on SCP-2217, invariably stating that God needs to be reassembled. These personnel are to be detained immediately. Incident 2217-42. On 7/28/2018, a large group of Broken Church members... So was this written recently? Because these dates are pretty not that long ago.
It was fairly recent, yeah, in a big scheme of things.
But this was like a Series 3 SCP. Was it like an old spot that opened up?
Well, I'd say recent. It was like in 2014.
Okay. So on 7/28/2018, a large group of Broken Church members, several of which were anomalously augmented, attempted to storm 2217 in the Foundation outpost located on it. Broken Church adherents were reportedly accompanied by members of GOI-004B, Cogwork Orthodox, and GOI-004C, Church of Maxwellism, despite reports of intense animosity between these groups.
Yes, these are different factions of their...
Yeah, so this is like the uniting factor, the speech. This is like the center of their religion, kind of. The capture,
just going over sort of a brief what are these guys? So the Cogwork Orthodox are the big clock guys. And
they what?
They're the ones big into the clock aesthetic.
Okay.
And the Maxwells and like cyberpunk guys.
I love how they probably have like distinct like religious beliefs, and you're just describing them by their fucking aesthetic.
Yeah, they're the cyberpunk guys. They love the internet and shit.
Okay. What's A?
The A is just That's the... I'm trying to remember what they're called. It's all the same religion anyway.
Alright, we're moving forward. The capture of SCP-2217 was successful, with all Foundation members either killed or captured by members of GOI-004, so I guess that's when it was uncontained. A video message sent by an alleged Saint Gates of the Church of Maxwellism contained the following message. O disassemblers who call themselves a Foundation, what are you a Foundation for? If you are a Foundation for life, then you will let us keep this land, for the flesh is coming, and only we can stop it. We need to bring our God back together immediately, or else you will all...
The broken church is at -A there.
Okay. Okay, I thought they were all the broken church. I thought that was the big thing.
No, Church of the Broken God is different from the broken church.
Okay. So this is interesting. Is this why it said on the end of 2019 not to interrupt them because they're going to stop the flesh guys?
Maybe.
Juan spoke of the coming of the flesh. Horrors 25, 7-12. There's a footnote that says, from the Maxwellian Book of Horrors 7, and so in the cold land the flesh spreads its horrors throughout Kithra. 8. And Juan banished them with his hammer, but it was too late. Kithra had fallen. Juan spoke mournfully, and his signal was heard throughout the land. The flesh cannot truly die. When it comes again, Kithra will once more fall. 5 years shall pass after the end of Kithra, and the flesh shall come again. When it does, another year shall pass, and the great battle will begin. And now, it is time. If you are a Foundation for life, you will not let this happen. You will let us defeat the flesh. Several other messages followed, demanding the relinquishing of SCPs related to the Church of the Broken God. As of 8/01/2018, all Foundation personnel on SCP-2217 have defected. As of 8/05/2018, SCP-2217 remains uncontained. Observational Report 2217-04. Since failure of containment of SCP-2217, Foundation satellites have been observing SCP-2217. Images appear to show members of the Church of the Broken God drawing symbols in the sand. The Triumvirate, a joint task force with the Horizon Initiate and Global Occult Coalition, has found that these symbols correspond to a large-scale summoning ritual used to revive UAE-LF-015, or the Broken God/Mechane/Juan. Plans for a large-scale invasion of SCP-2217 are currently underway. Alright, I'll leave the rest to you.
Incident 610-2217. On 01/01/2019 at midnight local time, a large earthquake occurred in the Lake Baikal region. This seismic event corresponded with a large influx of SCP-610 instances, which started attacking the perimeter of the containment area. Foundation suffered high casualties in the near-containment breach of SCP-610. However, the breach was stopped by a sudden appearance of several augmented members of the Church of the Broken God, who proceeded to assist Foundation forces in containing the breach. The Church members had evidently been waiting in the area around Lake Baikal for at least 15 days prior to the breach, later claiming that God had told them to come to the Foundation's aid. It's fucking Infinity War. Broken God! Assemble.
Please.
The breach was fully contained when a large-scale electrical discharge occurred on 01/04/2019, so they were fucking fighting for 3 days there, destroying all SCP-610 instances within a 5-kilometer radius of its point of impact.
Nice.
Non-SCP-610 lifeforms, including Foundation personnel caught in this area, were not affected, except for the total destruction of the SCP-610 contagion in their system. Satellite photography showed that this discharge originated on the island where SCP-2217 is located, approximately 20 minutes prior to impact.
Oh.
Following this, a video message from Robert Bimaro, the leader of the Broken Church, was received by all Triumvirate leaders, including O5 Command, the director of the Church of the Global Occult Coalition, and the Horizon Initiative's Tribunal. It's not too late, you know. This is our world as well. We both want the flesh to end, and we can help you. We can help each other. Come to the Anvil. We will talk, and we can save this world.
Sounds kind of sus.
Addendum 2217-Formil. On 5/14/2019, O5 Command unanimously voted for temporary collaborative measures with GOI-004.
Yes!
In order to prevent an XK-class scenario. The SCP has been reclassified as a Formil class anomaly and will be used to prevent scenario XK/610/WIB. During the prevention of the scenario, all secrecy protocols will be rescinded, with a high probability of leading to an LV0 lifted veil scenario.
I don't know what that is.
That means, like, no more secrecy, it's all in the open. This has been deemed a necessary risk.
So, in 2020, the Foundation's going to let all their secrets loose for people?
I guess so. To help the public adjust in the event of a possible LV0 scenario, the Triumvirate has created Project Ennui. Project Ennui will use a combination of Ennui 5 amnestic and gradual civilian exposure to harmless E-class anomalies, as well as anomalies that have been given X designation but has yet to be released to the public. As of 8/25/2019, SCP-2217 remains under Triumvirate control, and Project Ennui is operating at 45% effectiveness.
This is, like, way too close to the current timeline. I need an update soon.
Yeah,
so
this is a really good one.
Who made this one again?
IHP.
IHP. Well done, friend. I'm going to give this one an 11 out of 10. It was really cool having the context of the other two. It brought everything together. I love the narrative it created. You saw me. I was literally... I made a joke like I'm Kubing, but I was like so invested once it got to the scripture parts, like coming together with the description and containment we got earlier. Oh, it was just so good. I love this one. This was fantastic.
I like this one as well. I really like a lot of the Broken God stuff that came around this time.
Yeah, same. Freaking epic style. All right, and with that, on my end of recording, we tried collapsing it for the first time, by the way, folks. I'm at about almost an hour, 5 minutes.
An hour and 4 minutes, 39 seconds for me?
Yeah, I'm like 5 seconds ahead of you. Okay.
Okay.
All right, so anything else you need to tell people? Any zones we need to go to at the end here?
I haven't got anything I need to go to a zone for. I'll put my head in the plug zone very quickly, say read April Space. But that's all for me. And also check out what's going to be coming out from Team We Are Going to Beat You to Death in the Canon Renaissance contests.
Yeah, and if you enjoy our videos, like the podcast or our other videos we make, we would appreciate a subscription. And when we hit 500, we're going to try to, as soon as we can, not immediately after we hit 500, try and do a live stream.
Yeah, we'll do a live stream.
So yeah, also if you did end up drawing maps, tweet it at us or let us know on the server, which will also be plugged below.
If you didn't, I'll find out.
Yeah. Alright, so I guess we say our goodbyes here.
Thank you for listening, everyone. My name was Tanhony, and it will continue to be.
Alrighty. Bye!
Who the fuck were you? What do you mean, bye? Who are you?
Wouldn't you like to know?
Wait, you're...